Okay, so we'll review briefly what we learned last week, the bubbling well and the feet, and then those three movements. Oh, looks like a question may have popped up here. Gretchen Gilfillan, do I do the Chinese long form? No, I don't. This is a Yang style short form. It is as taught by William CC Chen. He studied with a teacher named Chen Manqing, among many others who studied with Chen Manqing. And so this is the style that he teaches. And there are dozens of Tai Chi forms as far as I know. And I just know this one. I've started to learn from some other styles and never really followed through with that. One is enough for me. I haven't gotten bored with this form yet, so I'm gonna stick with this for a while. So yeah, we'll review what we did last week, and then we're gonna learn 3 new movements this week. And next week, we will learn 1 new movement. It's a complicated movement, so that's why I'm dedicating a whole class just to 1 movement. And we'll be reviewing the previous 6, so there'll be plenty for us to chew on. And today, as I said in my email, we're gonna learn how to relax. And by relaxing, we can get more energy in our bodies because we're not using so much energy being tense. So let's start where we picked up or left off from last week. And we'll start from the very beginning here with the preparation move. So just to recap, preparation is move number 1. Move number 2 is called beginning. And move number 3 is ward off with the left hand. Okay. So we'll start here with heels together, toes pointing off about a 45 degrees. And I'm going to actually turn around this time. Last class, I faced the camera because my microphone wouldn't have picked up, but I got a different camera now, so I can face away from you. And this is the reason I do it this way is you can't see what my hands are doing, but what is most important is to see what my feet are doing. And this way you don't have to think about, am I moving my right? I tell you what foot to move. But if you're a visual person and you want to watch me, you'll see my left foot move, and then you move your left foot. And that'll be easier for both of us. And anytime you want me, and so this way I can't see anything on the screen. So if somebody puts a comment or a question up in the chat or the Q&A, I won't see it until later. So you have to unmute yourself. Okay. So we start for preparation. Your knees are straight, but not locked. Your heels are together. Your feet are off, pointing about 45 degrees in each direction. And to find the bubbling well, just lean your weight forward a little bit so your heels just begin to lift from the floor. Not that they clear the floor, but there's clearly not much weight on your heels. And then to shift your weight back so you're more weight on your heels, and the front of your foot might start to lift a little bit, but not actually lift off the floor. You're just lifting most of the weight out of the front of the foot. And just going back and forth through the front of the foot and the heels on weight, and then to the heels and the front of the foot on weights. I'm just going back and forth between those 2 places here just a few times. And I'll tell you is that when you stop doing this, after you've gone back and forth a few times here, and you just relax into your feet and you find what feels like to be a neutral place, most likely it's a little different than it was before you did this little exercise. And you're more likely to be on your bubbling well. And that bubbling well is, again, it's on the bottom of the foot, just between, it's just behind the ball of your foot, back in the soft part. Maybe, I've never measured it, an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch or so. It's going to be different for different people depending on the size of your feet. So somewhere between 1/2 an inch and an inch from the ball of the foot towards the heel. Okay. And we'll start with preparation. Go ahead and taking a deep breath. And on your exhale, imagining like a bucket of water in your belly pouring into a hollow bucket of your right leg. All of your weight sinks into the right leg. And then picking up the left foot, stepping it out to the left just a little bit and turning it so it points straight ahead. And then soft knees, and your whole pelvis is like a pendulum swinging down towards the weight is now 50-50, and then your pendulum is swinging over onto the left leg. So now your weight is 100% left leg. And then pivoting on your right heel, rotating in your hip to turn that right leg to be parallel with the left leg. And then letting the pendulum of your pelvis swing back towards the center line. Again, soft knees. And stop when your weight gets to be 50% on each foot. And beginning, we're going to energize by raising the arms first, so the hands are asleep. And then the hands wake up. Fingertips alive, like you're reaching for something without reaching out. And then hands and arms go to sleep. Hands in front of the shoulders. And then to energize, elbows drop, shoulder blades squeeze together slightly, and the hands wake up. And de-energize. Hands come down, relaxed. Ward off with the left hand, swinging the pendulum of your pelvis over onto the left leg. So you're 100% on the left leg, and you're going to hold an imaginary ball with the right hand on top here. And pivoting in your left hip and your right heel. So on the ground, you'll see the motion happen in your right heel. Or if you watch me, you'll see my right heel. But the action is happening in the left hip. Rotating so your right foot is now 90 degrees to your left. And then soft knees, shifting your weight 100% right foot. And then stepping out slightly and slightly to the left. Not a big step on the left heel. And you just rest the left heel down. No weight there yet. You're still 100% weight on the right foot. Soft knees, shifting weight, swinging the pendulum of your pelvis over onto the left foot. And when you're grounded there, energize. So the left hand swings forward like you're holding a tray, like an English butler. And your right hand comes down at your side as a block. And your right foot rotates around about 45 degrees. Okay. Heel for preparation, heels together, toes off 45 degrees, straight knees but not locked. And then we'll begin. Go ahead and take a deep breath. On your exhale, soften your knees, pouring an imaginary bucket of water into your right leg till you're 100%. And then stepping out to the left, turning the left foot to face forward, and soft knees, swinging the pendulum of your pelvis over onto the left. And then rotating in your right hip. So your whole right leg, knee, and foot turn around. So now it's facing parallel with the left foot. And then soft knees, penduluming back towards the middle. So both feet are equally weighted. And beginning, energize. Fingers reaching but not reaching. And going to sleep. Hands relaxed, arms relaxed. And waking up. And hands back down. Ward off with the left hand. 100% into the left foot. Hold the ball. Right hand on top. And a little energize to rotate in the left hip so the right foot turns out. And soft knees, shifting your weight 100% right. And a little step. If you step just straight out, your left foot will tend to swing in. And then when you go for the energize, you'll be in an overly narrow stance and it's hard to keep your balance. You always want to have your feet to be apart. So stepping out and slightly to the left, shifting your weight and energize. Good. Okay. All right, so we'll do that one more time with my back to the camera again. I'm going to talk more about the relaxation and the energized part here in a minute. But keep in mind that Tai Chi is not the hand movements. All this stuff that, when people see Tai Chi, they see, all this magical hand motion, and we think that's Tai Chi. It's saying that this is Tai Chi is like saying that the greens of a carrot are the carrot. No. I mean, we know the carrot is the root. It's the part in the ground. That's the only part that we care about. I don't know anybody who eats carrot greens. I think they're slightly toxic. I don't eat them. I think they'd be pretty bitter. Anyway, so the hand motion is a secondary thing. So when I turn around and you can't see what's happening with my hands and you're forgetting about that, don't worry about it. It's not that important. It is important, but if you don't have the carrot, then the greens don't mean anything. I mean, the green, anyways. I think I've ran that analogy through. Okay, so we'll start at preparation here. Deep breath. And on your exhale, all the weight into the right foot, stepping out into the left. Soft knees, swinging the pendulum to the left, 100% left foot. And then making the action happen in your right hip to turn your right leg, knee, and foot to turn around to face forward, parallel with the left. And then again, soft knees, soft belly, letting your weight swing back so you're 50-50 on each foot. And energize. Arms rise, hands relax. And second, energize. Fingertips alive. And relax. Hands in front of the shoulders, hands asleep, arms relaxed. And energize, elbows drop, squeeze the shoulder blades just slightly and fingertips alive. And back down, hands back down. Ward off with the left hand, 100% left foot, hold the ball, right hand on top, and sinking down even more into that left foot. I know you're already 100%. I want you to relax into that left foot. So it's totally got you. And pivoting in that left hip, rotating on your right heel. So your right foot's now 90 degrees to the left. And soft knees, shifting your weight, 100% right foot. And step out and slightly to the left. On the left heel, soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded, energize. All right. So that's a little review of what we did last week. And before we go to the next one, so I'm going to go in and out talking about how to relax and how to energize. So rather than learning something new, let's, and I'll do this facing the camera. Let's start with ward off left. So this is a motion we've already learned here. We've just finished with beginning the hands coming back down. And now you sink all of your weight into your left foot and you hold the ball, right hand on top. And like I just said a moment ago, noticing, can you be heavier? Noticing tension you might have in your foot, your ankle, your knee, particularly your left hip, your belly. Can you let your belly go? Can you let it relax? Can you let it hang out a little bit? This is not something in our culture, our society that is encouraged. It's tend to be discouraged. So seeing if you can let your belly go. Seeing if there's anything in your belly that you can let go. Seeing how much heavier you can start to feel through the left side. Okay. And just by raising a hand, is anybody noticing that they're feeling heavier on their left side after having done that? Okay, I see 3 hands. And I think there's at least a couple people I can't see, so that's fine. All right. That relaxation, that's our practice. That, as I'll tell you, for as long as I've been doing Tai Chi, I tend to relax more quickly and readily. But you can do Tai Chi. You know, I'll do Tai Chi 2 different ways. I'll do it quickly and see if you notice the difference. So actually, let me just do it with ward off left. So I'll do ward off left. Okay, this is one way. So that's one way. And then I'll do a second way, see if you notice the difference here. It can be subtle. Just see if you notice. Okay. So raise a hands if you noticed a difference. If the first rendition I did, if that looked like the more relaxed position, the more I was better relaxed in my body, raise your hand. Okay. Okay, I think I saw one hand. And then if the second version looked more relaxed, raise your hand. And then I got a shoulder shrug. Okay, so I got one of each and a shoulder shrug. It can be hard to tell. So rather than me trying to show you, let's just do it here. So just for reference, my intention, what I was doing is that the second rendition was, I was more relaxed, quite a bit more. I felt much more relaxed. And the way to get more relaxed, the nutshell version, the Cliff Notes version, is that the more weight you can allow to sink into your bones, into the ground, actually letting your weight to go down. And the more tense you are, it's not that, you know, if you put yourself on a scale, yeah, I won't pull them out right now. I have a couple bathroom scales exactly the same. Sometimes I'll have people 1 foot on the other, 1 foot on the other, and just stand there without looking at them and see, does one leg have more than one weight? Most people do. And if you were to do that with Tai Chi and put all of your weight in one leg and then relax into it more, I should try this. You're probably not going to see a huge actual increase in weight, but your sense of more weight, because your tension isn't blocking yourself, that the more you relax, it feels heavier in your leg. With your knees being a little bit bent here, now your knees may be more bent than mine, you may be less bent. For the person who's asking about the Chinese long form, I don't know your history with Tai Chi, but William Chen's version is a pretty straight-kneed form. The Chen style, they get way down, ward off left and this sort of thing. That doesn't feel good in my body. It's a good form. I think if I'd started seriously with Tai Chi when I was maybe 20 years old, it would be a different story. But I'm getting the benefits out of this form and without having to put strain on my knees. I want my knees to be lasting into my 90s if possible, or longer. Yeah, so the more you're relaxing into the weighted leg, letting go of tension there, the heavier you're going to the ground, the more your quads, if your knees are bent a little bit like this, if they're really bent, your quads are going to be working even harder. So if your thighs start to get really tired, that's a good sign. That means you're letting go. If you have a lot of tension in your hips, your quads don't get to do the job that they're meant to do here. And they'll get strong. My legs are stronger than they used to be just from doing Tai Chi. I still go hiking and backpacking and all that and get exercise for my legs, but I don't depend upon the hiking and the backpacking to keep me strong, because I do Tai Chi and that keeps me strong without having to step foot outside the door. I love going outdoors, but okay. So let's practice this. So standing, facing straight ahead, and you've just finished beginning. And I'll give you a tip. So let's back up here a little bit here. So we're at this stage of beginning. We've gone to the full energized stage. And then you've heard me de-energize or go to sleep. This is an exhale. Hands are coming down. Knees are softening a little bit. You're getting like you're getting ready to sit down onto a bench behind you, but then you stop. So the knees are a little bent. And then letting go of your belly, letting go of your low back, letting all of your weight sink into the left foot. And now that you're here and you've got all of your weight on the left foot, there'll be a little bit of weight on the right because it's the weight of your leg. You don't want to pick up the right foot off the ground to truly be 100%. So I don't know, maybe it's 90%, but it feels like it's all the weight. I'm not putting, there's no muscular effort in this leg at all. It's just resting on the floor. And now you've got this muscular, efforting leg here, and soften the knee just the tiniest little bit more. Just noticing, is there anything that you can consciously say, relax? Oh, I can let that go. Now that I think about it, yeah. And if there's someplace you can't, don't worry about it. That'll come later. But if there's someplace you can and be heavier in the leg, okay, so you might be getting tired on the leg. Let's go on. Let's hold the ball, right hand on top. And all the pivot is happening in the left foot here as you turn towards the right with the right leg. And softening, shifting your weight 100% into the right leg. Oh, that feels good. That was a long time hanging out on that left leg. It is nice to switch sides. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this side. Just feeling your weight sinking down into your leg. Noticing, is there anything in your hip that you can let go of? Is there anything in your belly that you can let go of? Can you let go of anything in your low back? And just letting that weight sink down even more. Even if it's just a tiny little bit, it'll make a difference, big difference. Okay, so we're still holding the ball here, stepping slightly out, slightly to the left, just the heel touching there. And then soft knees. The pelvis is swinging like a pendulum. So your knees at the center point. Now my weight is 50-50 on both feet. At the center point here, the pelvis is lower and the knees are lower. And that doesn't really change. That's staying pretty low when I get over into this leg. So now it's about 70% on this leg. And energize. Okay. All right. So that's the first lesson in how to relax. If you go back to, if later in the week you go back to the recording and just practice that little bit there, and then, you know, do the first movements, just, you know, kind of remember the basic choreography of what it is, notice what it feels like, then go back again and practice this hanging out in one spot, practicing learning to let go of being heavier in that leg, and then do it for the right leg, and then do the form again and see if you notice a difference. Okay. So with that, let's do those 3 movements. So let's start at preparation. Heels together, toes off 45 degrees. Knees are straight. This is not Tai Chi knees at this point, but they're not locked. And we'll go ahead and begin, taking a deep breath. And on your exhale, soften the knees, soften the belly, pouring all your weight into the right foot. Step out with the left foot, pointing the foot straight ahead. Swinging your pendulum of your pelvis over onto the left foot, 100% left foot. And again, relax, letting go of any tension that you can, sinking into the left foot and pivoting on the right heel so it's now parallel with the left, and swinging your pelvis back to the midline. And beginning, I got to step to the right a little bit, beginning, arms rise, hands relax, and another energize, fingertips alive. And relax, hands back in front of the shoulder, and energize. Hands wake up, elbows down, shoulder blades slightly squeezed, and relax. Ward off with the left hand. 100% left foot. Hold the ball, right hand on top. And sinking into that left foot even more. Letting go of any tension you can. Pivoting on the right heel towards the right. So your whole pelvis and torso turns towards the right. Soft knees, shifting your weight. And 100%. Really sinking down. You really want this right foot to have your weight, because you're going to pick up the left foot, step it out and slightly to the left, and soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded, energize. Okay. And maybe to hear from one person, if somebody wants to raise their hand and say, did doing it that time around feel different after the relaxation exercise we did? You feel like doing okay, I'm seeing a nodding head there. Okay. I see another nodding head. Okay. All right. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. I hope that there's something here that perhaps you can't put your finger on quite yet, that keeps your interest in Tai Chi. It took me a while. It took me, well, I first explored Tai Chi in '99, and I didn't really notice much about it. It was kind of interesting. I don't know. There was all these claimed health benefits from it. I didn't really notice them. But in 2011, I somehow got the idea to explore Tai Chi again, and it took me a couple months for I start to feel a little bit, but to really grab my interest and like, okay, I'm going to stick with this thing. It took a year. I hope for you it doesn't take that long. I wanted to quit for the first 9 months, mostly. Or the first year, I was always thinking, maybe I should give up Tai Chi. I don't know if it's really for me, because I wasn't noticing a lot of benefit. And it just took me that long. I mean, the benefit I believe was happening, but I couldn't be aware of it. It's like eating a piece of chocolate and having no taste buds. It's like people can tell you how good it is, but if you can't taste it, then so just keep in mind that if you don't notice something right away, I'm an example that it can definitely come later. So, okay. So somebody raise their hand if they have a question before we go on to the next 3 movements.
I have a couple questions. One has to do with, you've mentioned a couple times initiating a turn from the hip, like turn the right foot out, but do it from the hip.
Yeah.
How exactly do you organize that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Where does that start?
I'm glad you asked that question. That's a really good one. So let's do that for a minute. So the first place that happens in ward off left, our hands have come down, weight all shifts onto the left, and we hold the ball. So there's 2 ways to get the right foot to turn 90 degrees. And the first way that most of us would do is use the muscles in the right hip to turn. Notice my pelvis. Notice my pelvis is facing the camera, and now my right foot is turned out and my pelvis is still facing the camera. It's all the right leg that made this happen. That's not Tai Chi. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but it's not Tai Chi. So I'm going to turn that leg back, still weighted on the left leg here. Tai Chi, all of the motion, all of the action, all the good stuff, all the action is happening almost primarily through the weighted leg. And so this is a little bit of, rub your belly and pat your head sort of thing to be able to do both at the same time. So you need to relax into this left leg. And at the same time, keeping this, so watch this knee is pointing straight ahead. And then watch my pelvis. Let me see if I can straighten my shirt. So my pelvis is now pointing this way and then rotating in the left hip. Now my pelvis is facing this way. So the motion originated in here, and the right leg, all I did muscular wise in my right leg was I lifted my toes. Just so they're not dragging against the carpet. And then it, I mean, that can work, but that's just not really the movement here. So there's a little motion to raise my toes here, and then the pelvis is rotating, but the knee, the whole leg is staying stationary, and all this fascia, all these muscles in this leg have to be able to lengthen in order for the motion to happen here. Most of us are pretty darn tight in our hips. And so even though the Tai Chi movement is to turn the right foot 90 degrees by doing it in the hip here, most of that, yeah, even there. Okay, so there I wrote, there it wasn't all of my hip there because I wasn't relaxed. If I'm not relaxed, watch my left knee. If I'm not relaxed, that left knee moves towards the right. But if I'm relaxed in the hip, It stays pretty still. It moved just slightly. You might not have seen it move, but it stays pretty stationary. I'll say that that took me a while to learn. So if you can't do that right now, I'd say it took me 1.5 to 2 years. I imagine that a lot of people I've met that I've taught Tai Chi to, they've picked up on it a lot quicker than I have. Why? I don't know. So I'm a slow learner sometimes, but when I learn it, I really learn it. So that's what I mean by the action happens in the left hip, but the right foot turns outward. So if you can't do this, then this is something we could come back to at another time. If you can't do this, then this may be a case where you fake it till you make it, where you end up turning the right leg out with the muscles of the right leg anyways. And by doing so, you're going to learn a bad habit of Tai Chi. It's not one that's necessarily going to harm you, most likely. It shouldn't harm you, but it's not going to get you the most benefit. But we got to start somewhere.
I do have a follow-on question though, Jason.
Yeah.
So if we can't do this properly, how to do it without tweaking the knees?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's stick with this for a minute because this is really important. Tai Chi not done well, done improperly, you can hurt your knees. Some people have hurt their knees really bad. My teacher, Bob, is really, really adamant about people not doing that. So what he's taught me how to avoid hurting your knees. So the short answer is how to not hurt your knees is you have a narrow stance. So we started a narrow stance in preparation with the heels together here, but fairly quickly we're spreading our feet apart from each other. So for preparation here, you don't step way out here and end up here. I mean, Chen style, they would, they're going to be really spread apart here. That's really hard to do for your knees and do it well, unless you have the body mechanics, the muscular action in the right direction already, and your joints have the flexibility to do it. Coming back to ward off left here, so we've finished beginning here, ward off left, 100% left. And if you start to rotate and your left knee starts to turn in, then I'm going to tell you stop there. And notice, and I'm just making an example here. My right foot is not 90 degrees. So you could do two ways. You could use your right muscle legs to turn the foot out more completely. I would say not. If you are concerned about your knees, so the right foot got turned out this far, keep it there. This is totally fine. And then you shift your weight 100%. And then when you step out, here's a key part that is a big thing for knees, that when you step out on the left foot, that you don't step way out here, or you don't step way out there. That literally, if you move your foot forward, if you look down where your foot is, look where your big toe is, if you place your heel where your big toe is, that's more than enough of a step. And then shifting your weight onto the left and energize. And in this case, the right leg doesn't need to rotate around because it's already pointing 45 degrees. Did that make sense? Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
That being said, all through Tai Chi, none of it should hurt whatsoever. If you have pain doing Tai Chi, something is wrong. You want to stop. Bring your question to a class like this, and we'll address it. And are there points in which Tai Chi feels weird or uncomfortable, like my body doesn't know how to do that, that's fine. You know, uncomfortable and weird and awkward is when you're first learning Tai Chi, and well, at any point of learning Tai Chi, if you're reaching places where your motion feels awkward and weird, uncoordinated, any of that sort of business, you're in the right track. Because what we're doing with Tai Chi is we're retraining our movement patterns. This is a challenging thing to do, totally doable, but it is a difficult thing to do. And it's why a lot of people give up on so many things. They start some new activity, maybe it's Tai Chi, and then they give up because they're frustrated or it doesn't feel, it's not fun yet. The fun comes, guarantee it. I'm living example, the fun comes. So let's not do the first three again. Let's just pick up at ward off left. I'll do it facing the camera here first. And at the end of any motion, so this is the end of ward off left. This isn't Energize. Your body is alive. It's awake. You know, if I literally had a tray in my hand that I was about ready to serve somebody, and this is blocking the bulldog that's trying to come up to get the cookies that are on the tray here. And then after you finish an Energize, after you finish a Tai Chi movement, it's a relaxation phase. And so as we go into ward off with the right hand, we're sinking down now 100%. We were 70% on the left leg. Now we're 100%. And you're holding the ball, but the left hand on top this time. Keeping the knee where it is, you're going to rotate your pelvis. So if the knee wants to come along, then you only rotate your pelvis as far as you can until the knee starts to track to the right. And bending the knees a little bit more can be easier. It can put some slack in your hips to make it easier to turn, right? And now you're going to pick up, since you're 100% on the left foot, you're going to pick up the right foot and step it very slightly to the right and turn the foot to face to the right. So now both feet are 90 degrees from each other. And soft knees, shifting your weight, swinging the pendulum of your pelvis over onto the right. Now you're 70% on the right leg. And the Energize is the hands stay like you're holding on a ball, and you're going to rotate the ball by dropping the left elbow and raising the right arm. And your left foot rotates in a 45-degree angle. So let's do that last part again here before we do the whole thing here again. So shifting your weight back onto the left foot, 100% left. You're holding a small ball, imaginary ball, left hand on top. And sinking down, swinging the pendulum, 70% right in Energize, dropping the left elbow, raising the right hand, and the left foot rotates around 45 degrees. Now I'm turned facing the camera there, but your whole torso turns to face the same direction that your right foot is facing. Okay, so let's do that again. So let's go back to the end of ward off left here. And ward off right. Sinking 100% into the left foot. Hold the ball, left hand on top. And there's a little Energize. Stepping onto the right heel. No weight on the right leg yet, just the weight of the leg. And the right foot's now facing to the right. And soft knees, shifting your weight. And when you're grounded, and that left foot rotates around. Okay. And again, finished our ward off left and ward off with the right hand. Hold the ball. Step on the right heel. Right foot points to the right. Shifting your weight. And when you're grounded on the right, dropping that left elbow and the right arm comes up. And the left foot rotates around 45 degrees. Okay. Does anyone have questions on that one? Is anybody really stuck on how the hands move? I can't see the videos all that well on the screen. So I'm not, I'm thinking for the October class, I'm gonna get a second screen. So I have my video so I can see what I'm showing you all, and then I'll have a second screen with everyone else's videos on it. So I can see much better how everyone's moving there. So I'm not seeing your raised hands. So let's go on to the next motion there. We'll repeat ward off right one more time. Step. Shifting your weight and hands in position, left foot rotates around. Okay, movement number 5 is roll away. So now you're going to sink 100% into that right foot. And then soft knees, sinking 100% into the left foot. And your left hand is going to come down, palm up underneath your right elbow. So if I turn and face the camera, it looks something like that. So the left hand would come up and hit the bottom of the elbow, but it's down a little ways here. And then the Energize is the hands go from the position they were in to swinging across your body and ending up over by your left hip. Okay, so let's do that again. So we've finished ward off right and roll away. Sinking 100% right and 100% left. Left hand comes underneath the right elbow and the right hand comes back a bit so the elbow is more bent. And Energize. Okay. All right, one more time. Ward off with the right hand that's the final Energize. And roll away 100% left or right. And then 100% left. Left hand underneath the right elbow and Energize. Okay. The next movement is called press. So you're now 100% in the left foot. You're going to be even more 100%. So relaxing into the left foot. And both hands come up like so. It looks a bit like how your hands were in position for ward off right. And then soft knees, shifting your weight to about 70% on the right leg and Energize. So the base of both hands are coming together. Some versions are the hands come together like this. Some of them are like this on the side of the wrist. I just go the two bases of the hands coming together there like that. So let's do that again. So we've finished our rolled away, and we're 100% left foot. And sinking down, relaxing, even more weight into that left foot. Both hands up, and soft knees, shifting your weight onto the right foot, about 70%, and energize. Okay. All right. So the last tip I'll give you here, I will say more about this next week when we talk a lot about the pelvis here, but this is just a preview for that, is that, let me exaggerate. So just watch for a minute here. So I'm going to do press, and let me tuck my shirt in a little bit so it shows up a little bit better there. So you can see I'm kind of leaned forward here. I've wound up the fascia in my left leg and hip, and then whoomp, it unwinds, and that's where the power comes out. That's where this left leg, whoomp. Done properly as a martial attack is apparently quite effective. I take my teacher Bob's word for it here, but that's what. And again, I'll talk about more of this next week, is that we're wound up. The fascia in the left hip is wound up. The whole left leg is like spiraling into the ground. I can feel my foot corkscrewing into the ground. And all it wants to do is unwind. And it just looks like that you're bent in the hip and then you're straight in the hip. It's not that simple. But that's where we're going to start. The spiraling thing will come later. But we start by just bending in the hip and then straightening in the hip there. So it's not just, because the opposite is that we push off of one foot and shift our weight left to right, and we're very, very stiff. So